You've tuned into the Bellingham Podcast for the week of August 9, 2020. This is episode 162. From that slightly frigid city by the Salish Sea, I am AJ Barcay.
And straight out of the Northridge Forest, I am Chris Powell. That's a 98226, by the way. On this episode, it's episode 12, volume 12 of the Quarantine Chronicles. Have two iPhone SEs will podcast. Join the conversation. This, dear listener, is the Bellingham Podcast.
Never gets old, Chris. How you doing?
A little tightly wound today. We got some life moments that have been a continuance from last June.
Yes. You have somebody who is being off to college soon.
Yes. So while many higher ed institutions around this nation are going online only, there is a particular university that my beautiful wife's and my daughter has been accepted to. Mm-hmm. They are allowing students to move into the dorms, and we are going to, like Steve Miller said, a big old jet airliner going to take me too far away or something. We're going a couple time zones away from this PNW and move her into her dorm, get her settled. In weather at this point, at the time of this recording in 98226, it is about, I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, 70 degrees in early August. Where we're going, it's about 20 degrees warmer right friggin' now. And as a result, all three of us are a little anxious about what's going to happen.
Right.
And, I don't want to be anxious on the mic because stuff may slip out that I don't want to have. And so I was earlier, before we recorded, I wanted to get some happiness going on. And I happened to just zone out on the YouTube, if you will, on my Apple TV, and I just needed something to make me happy. And as it turns out, something popped into my head where I did a search on YouTube for beautiful coffee shops. And the first selection, at least in the search result, and the top search result was from a channel called Mass Idea TV. And the title of the video is called 100 Plus Awesome Coffee Shop Design Around the Worlds. Mm-hmm. I'm not messing that up. That's how they described it or titled it. Basically, you're looking at a PowerPoint presentation with some beautiful solo piano. Hi, Jim Brickman. And it is nothing but beautiful coffee shops around the world. And it put me in a good space. It made me think, okay, I'm about ready to send... Our little tugboat is ready to set sail on the seas, and we don't know what is ahead, but I need to look back to be able to reflect on something that was of happier times. And hey, Bellingham, we've got a lot of beautiful coffee shops around this fair city and this county. I look forward to the day when we can go back with them, look at a screen with our House of Caffeine, if you know what I mean, Jelly Bean, and get back to good times. So we put a link to that in the show notes.
Oh, for the love of Princess Peach.
Drink. All right, here it comes. Episode 161, last episode. You said you were going to bust my chops on this for the love of drinking game or whatever, for the show notes. Princess Peach. I lived through the 90s. I'm old. What's Princess Peach?
The princess in Mario?
Okay, because you see, I'm not a gamer.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to be schooled in old
All right,
school.
Cool. Anyway, got a YouTube video for you to check out. Then we'll be talking about other content that we've discovered later on. Anyway, what is going on in the PNW work from home era for you, AJ?
Oh, just monitoring everything. And sometimes I'm monitoring on Camry 102.3 FM.
They are community powered. And if you go to your web browser of choice, please don't use the new Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer.
Never.
Go to another web browser and type in kmre.org.
Yep. So at the time of this recording, at least breaking news for us, our Governor Jay Inslee had put out some tweets and some Instagramminess stuff, and it's relating the very thing that you just talked about, schools in our state, and because of our numbers going in the wrong direction, he's at least publicly stated that he thinks it's ill-advised for most schools to go back to the grounded space until we have procedures, protocols, and or numbers going in the correct downward direction. I didn't see any policy out of this, but at least from as you know, like you said, September is just around the corner. I think there's going to be a lot of shuffling really fast for those of us that have littles in the K-12. So stay tuned.
There's not a lot of policy being alluded to, but there's a heck of a lot of conjecture and responses and mean tweets and angry posts. But we totally get it.
Yeah, totally. But I think it's one of those things where, and you and I have talked about this off the mic of regardless of what the situation is, at least having some sort of public charting of direction, and at least from our governor, it sounds like more and more he's leaning more towards being a lot more conservative of perhaps schools should not be fully open. But what that looks like beats me. But I just wanted to throw it out, do some Googling, and take a look at what our state, if you're in the state of Washington, what schools might bring for this fall term.
What it looks like is we're going to have a whole lot of episodes coming up in September about how to be able to handle the time blocking, the attention distraction game, and how that's going to be affecting everyone. So stay tuned as we are in the mid to upper 160s. We'll be talking about that as we approach the work from home, learn from home era.
Teach at home. Everything at home. So I just wanted to throw that out for the PNW work from home era. Other than that, I've got nothing else new on my desk, but you have something near your desk in your home office, it looks like.
Well, a lot less from my desk at home.
A lot more. By a lot more, I mean you have a lot less, which is more.
Yes, less is more. We have addition with subtraction.
Absolutely. Isn't that division? Nah,
it could be. No, I finally got off the stick and did my great eBay purge of a lot of items. And while that was wonderful to be able to let go of some things as I'm entering in a new chapter with my beautiful wife of empty nesting to get rid of some stuff, I learned a couple things about myself that, by having these things and by acquiring these items out of curiosity or saying I'll go first or a project or a thought in my mind that could make my life better, in which it in most cases didn't really recoup the credit card balance on that. And so on a couple items, I drove it down, got down to zero.
Good.
Funny thing about the Amazon Prime Visa card, it's made of metal.
Yeah, same like the Apple card.
Scissors don't cut metal credit cards. I broke a pair of scissors trying to cut that card up.
Oh, good point. How in this era that there are more and more cards being made out of titanium or whatever, how do we dispose of those cards? That's a good question.
I'm hesitant to put that through a
shredder. That would be a horrible idea.
Because that would make a glorious and metal sound, like a part of my heavy metal bands that I enjoy listening to.
Smack it with a hammer, maybe?
I tried bending it. Hey, if you got any idea of those 3 or 4 of you listening out there, give us a shout. Contact us. We're out there. Let us know, how can you dispose or get rid of a metal credit card? But anyway, as a result, getting the finances back in order for my dalliances, and the thought had immediately occurred to me, well, I need to get, I've got
What's
this
next?
I need to get something else. And so I'm immediately thinking, okay, a new bass guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. Or some new wardrobe items.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Or a couple of tech things. Because we're getting into an era of USB-C. Got to get the charger. Got to get the cables. From the Glamazon. And finally, I had to e-brake, and I'm like, this is what got me into this situation.
Right.
And as I'm having this conversation with myself, which is not suitable for airplay, or at least for a podcast, we want to maintain this clean rating. I was really having a battle within. It's like, no, I want to get some new stuff, the Buy for Life stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, red wing boots, they look awfully nice and they last forever.
Yeah.
Hi, Patrick Rohn. But I'm like, no, wait a while. Sit in it like Steve Jobs did in that iconic photograph from 1982. Thought about it so much, which was kind of like, okay, here's where I need to be able to refer back to a visual image of how to act. Instead of the shock collar on my neck whenever I go to click that mouse to say purchase, 100 volts, I printed out a picture of Steve Jobs sitting in his living room with a lamp, a record player, a couple albums, a cup of tea. And along those lines, there's another iconic picture of Mahatma Gandhi's last possessions. A couple items of footwear, some eating utensils and other things like that. And I printed those out just as a reminder to keep in mind what is important.
Yeah.
We are eliminating stuff. Just read a headline in one of the news blasts that I do about how Americans are having less debt than in the past 6 years. Maybe because we're not going out to eat as much,
right?
Or spending a whole lot of stuff on social
disposable income.
There you go. I have to tell myself, in order for me to listen to myself, I got to take the month of August and say I ain't buying jack. It's easy to do that because we're going to be out of town for a while, and we're going to be, my beautiful wife and I are going to be looking at each other and walking our dog and seeing how do we want to take this new chapter. For all those parents out there who have gone through the process of sending your little tugboat off to the big sea, the big lake of a whole lot of other boats in a higher education institution. I'm there with you, and I'm chugging along, but it's a new chapter.
Yeah,
and it's a little tough to come to grips with. This is going off script, by the way, because we have our show notes. Yeah. We have our show notes, but
no, this is good though, Chris.
This is part of the whole Bellingham life.
Well, I think also whether you're empty nesting or not, I think also with COVID, there's a lot of pent up. We've seen a lot of pent up angst and frustration. A lot of people just kind of throwing a mask on and just hitting out just a lack of social distancing and just saying, "Oh, I'm wearing my superpower cape of a mask and that'll protect me," type of a thing. Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of people blow off steam either by going out, maybe at times that they shouldn't, but also. I think we all are kind of using a little bit of maybe the Glamazon or wherever we like to shop online as some retail therapy right now as well. So it's good that you went the opposite. The counter that is like, the great purge, as it were.
Well, I don't want to. By the way, FAFSA, it's a thing, and
college,
yes.
Pricey. Yeah,
if you don't know what FAFSA is, folks, look it up, Google it. Make sure you get
that. It is brought to you by FAFSA.
That's right. Nonetheless, you want to make sure that we're not incurring a whole lot of stuff, and it's stuff that I don't need. I've already got my twin bases. I play the crap out of them.
Yeah,
they are rock solid. I've got what I need, just like Biz Marquee. But you say that 4-string bass is just a friend? You say it's just a friend? No, I got what I need. All right, let's move on. I've done my little soapbox thing. But AJ, you had a new update on your camera.
Yeah, so previously I mentioned that I just acquired a brand new camera. Brand new to me. It was used. The Sony RX1R Mark II. Which also, shout out to Matthias Bergling. He did listen to the show.
Of course he does, because he knows what's good for him.
And sup, gunpowder. So, I've been shooting it, and it's just been kind of, it's been interesting working with something that's a little bit older, a little bit slower, and a lot more, it's a little bit more analog, even though it's a digital piece of technology.
It's deliberate tech.
It's very deliberate. It's like if I'm grabbing a film camera. It's kind of nice. And I mean that by... It's great technology. It is fast compared to pretty much any other point and shoot camera that you may have out there. But for somebody like me who drives a Ferrari for freelance work, an A7 III, which is kind of the latest and greatest type of a thing, going to this is like a classic Ferrari. It was fast back in its day, but it's one of those things where on a Sunday, nothing is better than driving it as opposed to your contemporary Ferrari.
It's the 62 Aston Martin from Dr. No.
Exactly.
As opposed to the other Skyfall.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's one of those things where I'm enjoying shooting it, even though it's one of those things where it's like, gosh, if I had my A7 III, like I could do blah. But again, it's kind of going back to my analog manifesto, the Analog Explorer, where it's like, it's deliberate tech, it's deliberate shooting, and it's with me a lot more than my 7 III, so...
I think, ladies and gentlemen, if you're reading between the lines, you're getting a sneak preview of some of the content for Analog Explorer Volume 2.
That might be in the works.
Coming soon, whenever that might be.
But no, it's just, I guess that dovetailing into what you were saying with your revisiting of your minimalist roots is, for me, it's one of those things where it's not really buy the best, cry once type of a thing, because for me, a camera is just a piece of kit. It'll be with me until I have a tool that's different or better or whatever. But it's one of those things where it's deliberate, like Gandhi's things, or the things that you're choosing to keep. It's one of those things where having this camera with me and focusing more on what I had written in the Analog Manifesto for the Analog Explorer, being with my family, being out, I'm not actively looking for what's the next thing for even that publication or for what I'm producing. It's for me. And I like having that feeling again.
It's you're treating it as a tool, not as an idol.
Yeah.
And not as a unicorn.
Yeah.
And that is something that we both, and maybe some of you out there, need to get over.
Yeah.
And change thy mindset in some cases as we approach things. You, by the way, are making money out of it.
Well, yes.
If I was in a musical group, yeah, sure, I could justify that bass guitar.
Yeah.
Because I'd be making, some cashola out of it. Since I'm playing for joy,
Yeah.
and I already have the stuff that totally is sufficient. Yeah.
I guess that's actually the difference between this acquisition as opposed to all the other kit since I actually formed my freelance business. All the kit has always been for the business. This is actually the first piece of kit that I've bought for me. And I guess that's actually the bigger difference. Now, granted, yes, I do use it for my freelance work, but the intent is, it's for me. It's a nice feeling.
All right.
So
more updates in episodes to come.
Yeah.
All right. It's once again time to play our favorite game on the Bellingham podcast, Bingo. It's where we showcase a local restaurant for your next takeout order. AJ, what's your bingo card got this time?
Okay, so my takeout order is way out there. It's out on the sea, Chris. The sea. The Salish Sea.
The Salish Sea, where you come from all the time.
Aye, me matey.
Yes.
No, so if you ever head out towards Chuckanut, there's this really steep hairpin turn out on Chuckanut, and there's a sign that says the Taylor Shellfish Farm, Samish Oyster Bar and Shellfish Market. If you haven't ever been out there, it is my favorite place for all things shellfishy goodness.
Yes.
So even during COVID, they have like a restaurant. I use that term very loosely. Side, and then they have just their caught of the day type of, you buy fish right there and then. Live crab, oysters, clams, whatever. And basically, if you go there with a $50 bill, you will take home enough shellfish to feed a family of 4.
Grant will hook you up.
Yeah,
and that's Ulysses in this case.
Yeah. No, it just they are the goods. There's probably no other place in Whatcom County or Skagit that I would recommend when it comes to, if you want crab, go get it from them. If you want oysters and bring them home, go there. The view is great. And they're usually open until dusk or sunset. I can't remember what their sign says, but it's
when the ugly lights come back on.
Yeah, but I mean, it just there's not much to say about them because you're getting the fish to go make it yourself. But no, we recently did that. We just had a hankering for shellfish. Instead of going down to Hagen or whomever, we kind of go into the source. We're going to the farm, and yeah. So if you're in this neck of the woods and you have a hankering for crab or shellfish, hit them up.
And of course, we do have a link to their site in our show notes.
For the love of all things Goomba, drink
it and eat in this case. Yeah, on their website, they definitely will allow you to order a tray of oysters. This is taken from their site. And let our friendly staff teach you how to shuck. So in case you have some oysters and you're you're an oyster newbie, Gerd, or you can have the pros do it for you, or you can learn. That's kind of like how we are as techs. We could do the work for you, fix your computer, or we could teach you how to do it. That's the sign, boys and girls, of a talented tech. In this case, they're oyster techs. You could pick up a variety of oysters, Manila clams, Mediterranean mussels,
my favorite,
and a whole selection of fresh fish, Dungeness crab, harkening back to my stomping grounds, and scallops as well for the grill. So last episode we talked about Drayton Harbor, oysters, and now we got this over there. I think we're in a seafood mindset.
You actually, I think subconsciously I was just like, oh, Chris had a really good idea, and I'm going to go to the source.
There you go. Sounds good. All right.
Speaking of sources, where are you going?
I'm going to another farm, if you will. This one's on Guide Meridian, north of Bellingham, if you will. Bellwood Farms. A lot of us informally call it Bellwood Acres because they have acres and acres of apple trees and such, but they are actually a farmstead and distillery, according to the old website. Got a link to that in the show notes.
For the love of King Koopa, drink.
And eat those apples. They are open. Now, keep in mind, they are open Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 5. So it's not like they're going to be open all day, every day and stuff like that. They're taking Sunday through Tuesday off to recoup and to harvest those apples. They got a place where you can shop online, or they've got a totally expansive in-person store. We've been there before. It's a great location if you haven't been there before. What I'm enjoying that they are marketing right now is the Farmhands Sanitizer 3-pack. Since they are doing distillery, they've pivoted and they are getting some of the old hand sanitizer so you can smell appley fresh.
Ah, nice.
I guess, as far as that scent. And oh, by the way, jalapeno dill pickles for the adventurous among us. Yeah, no, those are available as well. Apple butter. And
apple butter.
Should those of you care for a drink, coffee liqueur. Yes. It'll be an experience. It's an experience purchase, but anyway, lots to choose from on their online store. But definitely a fan of the Bellwood Farms, farmstead and distillery over there on Guy Meridian, 6140 if you're on your Maps app.
Yep, and as we get closer to fall, it's really nice out there, especially for the kiddos, because they usually got like pumpkin patching and stuff. So keep that on your radar if you haven't been out there.
But if that's the case, don't go out on Sunday because they be closed.
Ooh, no.
Anyway,
that's no go.
So let's talk about some of the content that we've been ingesting with our eyes and our minds online.
Absolutely. So this is one of our favorite sections. It's quality assurance. These picks have been picked for you by AJ Barcet and Chris Powell for your quality assurance.
That's right.
Why don't you lead off with this one, Chris?
So, since we don't have cable TV and Casa de Powell, I check out the YouTube. By the way, I actually have a Google account that has nothing to do with me that I signed up for, and I have that signed in on my Apple TV. So therefore, all those ratings that I have, while it may be associated with an Apple ID, Google doesn't know what the heck anything else does on that account. There's a channel out there called Talas Buan. Talasbuan.
I was just about to spell it.
There you go. It's a vlog about this married couple, or this couple's struggles and joys of living off the grid in the forests of Jämtland, Sweden. And I hope I pronounced that right. And for those of you listening in Sweden, sorry about that. JAMT with umlauts on the A, LAND. So this is a channel that talks about off-grid life. And every now and then, as a technologist, I don't know about you, AJ, but I get a little burned out and I kind of want to chuck it all and go with a pad of paper and go Henry David Thoreau on Walden for a while.
You are talking to the Analog Explorer. Continue.
Fair enough. Well, I want to be able to explore my laptop at the bottom of the bay. There's a particular video that I enjoy, Early Morning Fog and Hand Milking Cows. It's a great video. It's very pleasant. Definitely, you won't be hearing an oonce, 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 oonce techno soundtrack. But it's a great way to check out a little bit of our world and how some people are living in this world as opposed to on the highway, stuck in traffic, remoting via Zoom or
Zoom
other
fatigue.
types of things. Yeah, they also have a Patreon page too. Got a link to that in our show notes.
Oh, for the love of
Come on now.
toadstool drink.
There you go. Drink and subscribe.
You thought you hung me.
Yes. All right,
No.
AJ, you got a really cool documentary.
Yeah, no, so my little has had a little bit of a sleep regression lately, so haven't been able to be catching up on a lot of things. But the times that he does go down, my wife and I get to catch up on a few things, and there's been a documentary that I purchased the moment it came out. I signed up for I kind of pulled a U, and it was called General Magic. Now, General Magic, if you're not of the geek sphere of the time of which technology was first coming out, and we had the boom, the sonic deafening.com boom that we had.
Think of *Halt and Catch Fire* on AMC, that TV show that talked about the dawn of the personal computing area. This is the time that we're around?
Yeah, it would be around. Well, just after that.
Just after that
era, you have the cast of characters where, as I was trying to explain to my wife, this is the all-star. This is the all-stars before they went out and were the captains of their own team. I'm not a sports person, as you can tell, but like this is the WWF. This is WrestleMania 1. Okay, these people that afterwards they always get invited back to the ring for WrestleMania like 20 and stuff. We have people like the original. We have the original person who created the iPod. Okay, in his young, long-haired days, fresh out of college type of a thing. You've got all of the greats in one room, in one company called General Magic. Ever heard of them? Probably haven't. But they were the likes of Apple today. They actually came out swinging with a product that looks a lot like, well, our iPhones, before there was an iPhone. And it's a documentary of how they hyped up this notion of the portable computer long before we had the Newton.
I remember that.
You remember the Newton? You don't remember what the Newton was? That would be when Steve Jobs he actually was just removed from Apple. And a CEO that will not be named, that was head of that company at the time, came out with the first portable computer, for lack of better terms, which is called the Newton. Later, derivations of this that you might know is like Palm, the old Palm Pilot's handspring back in the day.
The PDA, personal digital assistant?
Yeah, the personal digital assistant. But General Magic didn't want just that. They wanted it to be accessible. They partnered with AT&T back in the day. Sing along if you heard this before. It was one of those things where they were way ahead of their time, and it was because of the group of people that they had. They had like the first female engineer of Google was in this company. You had the founder of eBay. Matter of fact, the president of General Magic was just like, who would ever want to use this new thing of the internet, because it just came out, to go buy and sell things from strangers. Whoops, missed that boat. And it's just hilarious as a geek watching this, because these are some of your idols, like you're seeing these people before they were stars. And it's just hilarious to watch, and inspiring if you're interested in technology from its early roots.
So I got an analogy for you. So this is like watching Good Times from the 70s and seeing Penny, mm-hmm. who is Janet Jackson, a young Janet Jackson, and then also Different Strokes, when she was Willis's girlfriend, before she took control in the 80s, if you will, because, I'm from the 80s. This is also Mork. So on Happy Days.
Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way, after Fonzie jumped the shark on Happy Days, they had an alien visit from Ork, and his name was Mork. It was Robin Williams. This is before he got he was, kicking tail in the LA comedy clubs. But we really weren't aware of Robin Williams until we saw him on Happy Days, and then he got Mork and Mindy. This documentary is showing you, and by the way, parents, this is a great story.
It is.
For to see how we got here. And for the kiddos, this is a great history video mm-hmm. that they could do like an extra credit project on.
Yeah.
Talk about how this group of people were able to change in 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon to the current devices that we're actually recording from.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just, you see the seeds of innovation in this, the best unknown company today that doesn't exist. Like if it wasn't, and there's a lot of hyperbole, I will say, as a geek, they did pie in the sky, a lot of it, but that was also the era, take anything in technology today, and it is nothing compared to that era, honestly, because they were making it up as it was coming along. Like, you have cellular data. Think about that. Like, we take that for granted. That didn't exist.
Banks of payphones everywhere we looked.
The siren songs of modems came in and disrupted their business model. And it's just crazy to think about, because today we're so used to like systems and services and stuff. But that's built off of the shoulders of something like General Magic.
Absolutely. It's a great story, and available to check it out. Got a link to that in our show notes as well.
Oh, for the love of Yoshi drink.
Indeed. But one thing that General Magic had thought about, but really didn't want to replicate or improve upon, was a fork. And I think we should probably stick a fork in this episode.
Oh, man. But I have an app for that. But that wraps up this edition 4 of the Bellingham Podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us, wherever you like to get our podcast. Remember, if you are in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us on KMRE 102.3 FM.
They are community powered and streaming all over the darn internets at kmre.org.
From that slightly cooler city by the Salish Sea. Hello, walkers. I'm AJ Barsay.
And I'm Chris Powell. Thanks very much for joining us once again on the Bellingham Podcast.
The Northridge Trail, we are like the rock stars of the trail.
Well, they're looking at us quizzically, and they're kind of just, they got microphones in their hands. All right, let's see what else is going on.
Hi, new listeners.